First and foremost, I want to caution and certainly assure the public right now that there is no imminent public safety concern out here this evening. At the request of 20th District Attorney General Glenn Funk and per the memorandum of understanding in place between his office, the TBI, and the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, TBI agents continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding a deadly officer-involved shooting here in Nashville on Friday night. Here's the preliminary information that we can offer at this time, and please bear in mind, a lot of these facts are just now falling into place and will continue to fall in place in the next few days and weeks. The preliminary information indicates that officers received a call of shots fired at approximately 10:30 at this apartment complex at 2400 Buena Vista Pike. The officers observed a subject who matched the description of the suspect in the shots fired report, who also matched the description of a suspect in a reported pistol whipping incident in this location earlier in the night. The subject was then observed running into an apartment. Officers quickly regrouped and approached the apartment's door in an effort to make contact with the subject and, of course, to check the welfare of the individuals inside that apartment. For reasons still very much under investigation at this time, the situation escalated and resulted in gunfire between at least 3 of the officers and the subject. One of the police officers, who was in that group of officers responding to this incident, was struck in the leg and injured. The subject died here on the scene. At this point, we're working to identify this individual and make proper notification to his next of kin before we release his identity. When we have that available, we will certainly post an update to this blog post at tbinewsroom.com. Here's what's happening right now. We have a team of agents and forensic scientists who are here on the scene gathering all of the relevant evidence and interviews. We will be conducting this investigation and will turn over investigative findings throughout the process of this investigation to the District Attorney General for his further review. We always like to remind the public that the TBI acts solely as fact finders in these types of instances, so we make no determination as to whether the officer's actions were justified. We simply provide the facts, and the District Attorney General ultimately is the one responsible for determining if the officer's actions were justified. I'll take your questions at this point.
How many officers responded to the original call?
We don't know at this point. We're working to determine. A lot of those sort of facts and details, the numbers of all of this are still very much under investigation and what we'll be working to figure out.
Was anyone else injured?
No.
Witnesses were saying there was a hostage situation in part of this. Is that?
I'm unaware of any kind of hostage component. I mean, certainly what you had was an individual entering an apartment that what you had was an officer entering an apartment that at this point we don't have reason to believe he lived there or knew anyone inside of that apartment. So certainly this was a very scary situation for the people who happened to be inside of that unit at this point. And that's why you had police officers that were so interested in checking the welfare of the individuals inside that unit.
Which unit was it?
I'm sorry?
Do you know which unit it was down there?
We're not going to identify that at this point.
The officer that was transported, just so I have it on camera, can you just talk about who was transported and what his condition is?
We're not identifying the officer or speaking to his condition. That would be something you would need to get from the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department.
Has anyone been displaced by this?
In terms of residents, I'm unaware at this point.
How long do you think you all will be out here tonight?
Well, we obviously have a lot of work ahead of us. There's a lot of forensic evidence that needs to be gathered, a lot of pieces of this scene that need to be documented. I would suspect our forensic scientists will be here on the scene for much of the morning.
Is the deceased individual still on the scene, the body?
No.
Okay, it has been transported to the forensics. Okay. The coroner, I mean. All right.
Is that all? Great. Again, as I'm indicated, we'll post an update. I'll go ahead and type all of this up so you won't feel the need to sort of relay all these details to your newsrooms. It'll be available on our blog at tbinewsroom.com. That's also where we'll post any updates. I wouldn't foresee there being any major new details on this aside from identifying the deceased individual. And again, I have no timeline on when that might occur. When it's available, we'll certainly post that update on our blog, and you can check there for updates. But of course, if anyone has any follow-up questions, they can certainly send us an email to tbi.media@tn.gov.
And we have no idea if there was a home invasion or hostage situation at this time.
Again, what you had was an individual who was, preliminary information indicates, fleeing from law enforcement officers, enter an apartment that at this point we have no reason to believe that he had any place being. I don't know that you would necessarily characterize that as a hostage situation, but certainly it was a scary situation for the individuals inside of that unit. We're still in the process of trying to understand exactly what that looked like, and so we're not in a position to classify it as a quote-unquote hostage situation at this point.
There's only one unit involved, right?
Exactly, yes.
Can you say anything of the weapons that were involved or what the suspect had?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
And, do you have any updates on the officer involved shooting in class?
I do not.